Hey, welcome to Hard Questions. This program is moving fast. This is where we pull pastors together in a panel, and we take on a question from the headlines right out of the Bible. On today's panel,
Dr. William Glaze, Bethany Baptist Church in Pittsburgh.
Pastor Chris Gibbs, Crossway Church in the Mars area.
Pete Giacalone from the Rainbow Temple Assembly of God Church in McKeesport, Pennsylvania.
J. Anthony Gilbert, Kingdom Restoration Christian Center, Pittsburgh, PA.
You guys punked out on me.
You wanted the V, huh?
you got the thing going. And we have a pastor from outer space. He's from the Mars area, which is really good. The Mars area. Well, let's get right into our first question. Our only question for this morning is, how do you teach your kids how to lose? You know, how to lose. You know, not everybody's going to be the winner. And there is disappointment in life. And there's kind of a cultural phenomenon that everybody just gets a trophy for participation. What do you think about that? And how do you go forward?
I went to a program last year. It was a spelling bee for 9-year-olds. And there was about 24. And the first round, everybody did good. Second round. And then as the children started misspelling words, almost to a child, when they came off the stage, they started crying, and their parents had to console them. And I really felt sorry, for the kids. I mean, because, they were trying to do their best, but, they just couldn't accept the fact that they, had, misspelled a word, and now they were out of the spelling bee. And, my mind went back to Proverbs 24:10. And it says, if thou faint in the day of adversity, thy faith is small. And so we're not teaching kids, and we're not preparing kids how to handle adversity. And so I think that's up to the parents to teach their children how to handle adversity. And within that is the whole idea. When you lose, that's adversity. And you need to be able to handle it.
That's good.
Yeah, because the fact is, this idea that everybody wins, I do believe that to a point that we all win, but it's how you win. Everybody's not going to win on the scoreboard. Everybody's not going to win in a game. You're going to win with how you respond to that adversity. Because I was telling somebody before the show started, when we like to play board games at our house. Oh. And I got 3 kids, 8, 10, and 12. And when I play with them, I play to win.
That's right.
Because
That's
I know one day they're going to be better than me, but this ain't that day. Right. And until that day comes, I'm going to beat them because I want them to understand how to be good winners, but also be a good supporter of somebody else who wins.
That's good.
Let's put some more scripture to all this. I agree with both of you saying, he says, we have this treasure in earthen vessels, that the excellency of the power may be of God, not of us. We are hard-pressed on every side. So in other words, I'm going to use this as a springboard. Sometimes we're going to lose. All right, get over it. You lost. But the most important, you lost, okay.
That's pretty timely. Go ahead.
And in verse 16 of the same chapter, 2 Corinthians 4, it says,
I'd like a recount on that. Go ahead.
Therefore we do not lose heart, even though the outward man is perishing. Then verse 17, for our light affliction, which is but for a moment, is working for us a far more exceeding and eternal weight of glory. One of the great inventors, I don't know if it was Benjamin Franklin or Thomas Edison, one of them, one day his whole shop went up in flames. It was burning down to the ground. Do you remember which one it was?
Edison.
It was burning down to the ground. And he's sitting there smiling. And somebody came up to him and said, what is wrong with you? He said, just think, all my failures are burning down. I get to start all over again.
Pastor Jay, what do you say?
I think adversity and losing sometimes is what makes you great. Right. Matter of fact, it's being pushed down and pushed back that creates something within you. I think about the scripture in Exodus, and it talks about how, because the children of Israel were mightier than they were, it said they afflicted them, but the more that they afflicted them, the more they grew. So sometimes what I would teach my kids, I would lick their wounds, tell them it's okay, wipe your tears, but...
You're figuratively speaking there.
Of course, yes.
Of course. Papa dog.
But, teach them to grow from their losses. What could you do better? How do you enhance? And, it's the pain of my loss that made me a greater athlete. When I lost and people picked on me and made fun of me, I said, you ain't going to pick on me no more. So I'm going to be out there shoveling off the court and everything else, shooting baskets in the middle of winter with gloves on to make sure next time I win.
Well, look, Babe Ruth had more strikeouts than he did home runs.
Well, the other thing I was going to say, too, is that when we fail to equip our kids to deal with adversity, that makes it tougher for them down the road. Right. I think of Jeremiah and how he was facing some adversity. And God said, if you have run against the footmen and they have worn you out, what are you going to do when the horses come?
I love that teaching.
And I think a lot of times, our kids are failing at, baseball games or spelling bees, and then they get out here to the real big problems in life. And I know I see it in the inner city sometimes. Instead of being able to rationally deal with a problem, the easier thing to do is to take a gun and shoot somebody. And I think a lot of that is because they didn't learn how to deal with that stuff when they were little.
And one of the things that I like is in 2 Corinthians 12:9. Paul is talking and he says that the Lord speaks to him and says, "But my grace is sufficient for you." That whole thorn in the flesh thing. But I think you can look at this, and that word "sufficient" is the word that means enough, complete, total. And I think a lot of times people put too much stock in what they're winning, and the reason everybody has to win something. My daughter was in a science fair one time, and I got so excited she got a trophy until I realized 250 people got that same trophy. I wanted her to give that thing back. But they don't know how to deal with things because they look at, this is what completes me. The award completes me, the trophy completes me, the number one completes me. Until we learn and we teach our children and we learn as parents ourselves, because there's a lot of parents that are living the same thing vicariously through their children because they're so incomplete, they need their children to win something. Just because they couldn't win, they got to get their kids to win. But let God complete you and be sufficient inside of you.
Okay, guys, on our half hour, we do a half-hour program, weekly program, and it gets a lot deeper waters. But we do something on there we're going to do today is our lightning round. We just got a lightning round. So we only got a couple minutes. So what would you say to a parent? What's your one advice to a parent to change the course and let that child learn how to lose comfortably?
Well, the thing about being a parent is that when your child loses, there's a safety net because you're there. And I would just say be there whenever your child loses to help them work their way through it so they can handle it.
Yeah, exactly. Teach them to manage their emotions and help them to learn from what they could have done better. Not to compete against everybody else, but to compete against their own self.
My son played high school sports, and I was there with the old video camera, the big old ones, and videoed everything he ever did. And then afterward, he and I would go home and we'd review it and just watch it. And there's many times that he lost. That's simply lost. And just there to encourage him. So I would tell a parent, let him lose, but be there to encourage them and walk them through it.
And I would also say make sure that their identity is not based upon winning or losing, and I would affirm them and let them know that I love them regardless of whether they win or lose. But then also, though, encourage them to get back in there in the fight. Try again.
Try again.
Get in there to win next time.
Try again. That's right.
What a child will do is if they lose or don't exceed expectations, many children will then just pull back and stop. They won't get back on the proverbial horse. So you got to get back on. How do you encourage that, Pastor, for your kid? They lost. You said you lost.
Right.
You can do better.
Right. Well, I would find opportunities for them to get back on and then walk with them as they get back on.
Do you make them do it?
That's a hard question.
I make them finish it
this is a hard question.
Right. Well, I would say, like Chris said, if they started, and I've had that rule with my kids, if you start, you're going to finish.
You don't have to do it again, but you're going to finish it.
I remember when I bought my son his brand new bike. It was far more than what it was. It was expensive, and he fell off the bike. He goes, "I quit." I said, "No way!" And my wife was like, "Let him quit." I said, "No, that costs too much money."
Look, if I don't get a refund from this, you ain't quitting.
Oh man, and he rides bike even to this day.
It's so hard to watch your children fail. I know from my own perspective, or even not even fail, just even not do great. Not even do great. But think about how God feels about us, because He knows what we can do. That's good. He knows what He's put in us. He knows the power that He's entrusted with us to do great things. Jesus said, "Greater things shall you do because I go to be with my Father." And then we mess up. What's God do? He gives us the ability to try again. Amen. Not only that, He comforts us. And He assures us that He loves us. Amen. And when He assures us that He loves us, then we're encouraged, okay, then I can try again. So if you're in that place in life where you failed, but you haven't gotten back up on your feet, I want to encourage you. God loves you. He's empowered you. Stand back up and try again.
Amen.
Let's go to Amy.